Warning: the following video involves modification to gym equipment that may be dangerous. Improper alteration could result in injury or equipment failure. Consult with a professional before attempting.
What's going on, all my home gym junkies? It's your boy Habanero Gym Review, back at you with another video to satiate your home gym gear addiction. And today, we're going to be talking about the world's greatest, the world's latest, the most versatile, the greatest of all time, the most revolutionary, the Rep Aries 2.0. Oh, hold on, wait. This is supposed to be Just like all my other review videos, I'm going to be taking the Sour Patch Kid approach by first telling you guys 10 things I hate about this rack. But don't you worry, I'm going to be giving you guys some easy DIYs that you can do to take this rack to a whole new level. And then before I leave, I'm going to give you guys 10 reasons I do love this rack and why I think it's the best rack of all time. The first thing I hate about this rack is that all 6 of the pulleys, even the lat pull down and the low row, are 2-to-1 conversion. Meaning if I load 100 pounds on this thing and I pull the cable, I'm only lifting 50 pounds. Now the benefit to that is it makes all of the cable pulleys buttery smooth, and it also makes you look a lot stronger than you really are. So for all you ego lifters out there, this might be a good thing. Pair that with a bunch of these 10-pound bumper plates, and you'll look like you lift 1,000 hectograms in no time. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is we have 2 310-pound weight stack here, and when we combine them together, we get 620 pounds. But because the cables are 2-to-1, we can only utilize half of that. Now, to me, that's a ripoff because I paid full price for this thing. I paid full 5K, not half of 5K, the full 5K. And so if I spent all that money on this rack and bought all this weight and it's taking up all this space, I want to use all of it, even if I can't. You know what I mean? And for me, I just could not let that slide. And so you know what I did? I sat in here all day and night, not lifting one single weight, and just thought about it. Just thinking, just brainstorming, And then I found a way. I found a way to convert the lat pull down and the low row to a 1-to-1. Yeah, guys, you heard that right. My low row and my lat pull down has a 620-pound capacity. Does yours? Don't worry. I'll show you guys how to do it. But before I show you guys, I need to give you guys a warning. The modification I did is not in spec with what Rep intended, so it could be dangerous, and you could hurt yourself, and you could mess your rack up. So please proceed with caution and do it at your own risk. Let me show you guys how this 1-to-1 conversion worked. So I set the right stack to 10 pounds, and this is the lat pull down for the right side. This is the low row for the right side. Now, when I pull this top core down like this, I'm going to feel 10 pounds. When I pull the bottom up like this, I'm also going to feel 10 pounds. Now, let me ask you guys a question. What's going to happen when I pull both at the same time? Like this. Lock in your answer. So the answer is the weight stayed the same. And so when I pull both at the same time, I'm still going to feel 10 pounds up here and 10 pounds down here. But the thing is, if we connect both of these cables now and we push it at the same time or pull it, what do you think is going to happen? Well, basically now the weight's going to double. Check it out. Look at the weight stack. When I pull the top down, you see how high it goes? Now when I pull the bottom up, you see how high that goes? Now look when I pull both at the same time. It goes double the height up. So it basically is traveling the same distance as we're pulling this cord, giving us a 1-to-1 ratio. And so the idea is basically we're going to connect all 4 cables, 2 on the lat pull down and 2 on the low rows together to 1 carabiner. And so when we pull that 1 carabiner, we're pulling all 4 cables at the same time, giving us a 1-to-1 ratio. Now let me show you guys how I set that up. So I may have on these smart, intelligent, dorky looking glasses, but I assure you, they're not even real. So what I'm trying to tell you is I'm not a real engineer. And so the modification you're about to see, it could be unsafe and it could be dangerous. So before you try it, please consult with a professional. And also, this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Viewer discretion has been advised. But come closer. Let me show you something. So the first thing I did was I added 4 70mm aluminum pulleys to the low row. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the way I got this shroud to fit on here with these aluminum pulleys is I cut the hole bigger. If you don't cut this hole bigger, you're not going to be able to put your shroud back on because these pulleys won't fit through the existing hole. And so that's probably going to be the hardest part of this modification, is cutting this metal out. And then we're going to do the same thing to the top pulley, but we're only going to add two. One to this side and one to this side. After you put on your 6 pulleys, you're going to need two 81-inch from eyelet to eyelet cables. You're going to need 2 of them. These are just some cables that I got from Home Depot that I put together. They're not going to be that strong, so this is just a prototype. I have ordered some custom 81-inch cable that I will be replacing these cables with. So here's where things get a little bit interesting. You're going to set the 1-to-1 conversion on the lat pull down just a little bit different from how you set it up for the low row. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to set it up for the lat pull down first, and then I'll show you guys how to set the 1-to-1 conversion for the low row. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to grab your banana clip. You have to make sure you have 2 carabiners on the end. I got some big carabiners just because it makes it easier for me to install everything. But if you have a shorter rack, you might want to go with a smaller carabiner. So first we're going to put the banana clip to the lat pull down. And then we're going to connect these 2 cables to these 2 carabiners. And then we're going to connect the 2 ends to the bottom. You can use carabiners or you can connect this straight to the bottom connector if you'd like. I like to use carabiners because it just makes everything a little bit easier. We're just going to connect it like this. But you can also connect it like this. But I like to use carabiners, so. So now we have the bottom connected like this and the top connected like this. What we're going to do now is we're going to take this cable and we're going to loop it around the pulley that we put on. Okay, so it should look like that. Now you see how when you pull it now, the cables come together? So that's why we're going to need spacers to put inside here. So here's a little wooden block that I cut out and I put 2 magnets on the end just to make it stick. So it's going to look like that. And you're also going to need another one for the low row. All right, so that's how it should look. Now basically we have the 2 bottom cables connect all to this carabiner here. So this carabiner has 1, 2 connected to it and 3, 4 connected to it. So now we got 4 cables connected to this banana clip. So now when we pull this cable, we're pulling all 4 cables at the same time. Now to show you guys that it works, I'm going to use a luggage scale to measure how much weight is being placed on this 1 carabiner now. So right now we have the right weight stack set to 10 pounds. The left weight stack also set to 10 pounds. Now this weight here is a 2-to-1 ratio. So really, if it was 1-to-1, this weight would be 20 pounds. And this weight would be 20 pounds. And since we have them linked together, if it was the 2-to-1 ratio, it would be 20 pounds. But because it's a 1-to-1 ratio, it's going to be 40 pounds. So whatever this number is, we're going to multiply it by 4. So let's go ahead and pull the cables and see how much weight we have. All right, we're at 0 pounds. Let's pull it straight down. Hold it. All right, 38 pounds. So that's pretty close. Now let's go down to 15. So at 15, you times that by 4, it should be 60 now. And we got 55 pounds. So that just shows that now we are at a true 1-to-1 ratio. Maybe just a little bit shy of 1-to-1, but pretty close to it. All right, so that's the 1-to-1 conversion for the lat pull down configuration. Now I'm going to show you guys how to do the 1-to-1 conversion for the low rows. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this block off. We're going to take these cables off. And then we're going to take these cables off of this banana clip. And then we're going to take the banana clip completely off. And then we're going to take the bottom cables off. And then we're going to put the bottom cables to the top. And then we're going to take this bottom block off. And then we're going to put the banana clip on the low row. And just like how you did it before for the lap pull down, we're going to run this cable through these pulleys. And then we're going to put it into the banana clip. This one. And now we're going to do the same for the right side. Then we're going to put it into that carabiner on the banana clip. Then we're going to put our spacer back in the middle. And now, as you can see, we got the top cables now coming down and connected to the banana clip on the bottom. So now on the bottom, we have all 4 cables connected to this banana clip now. See? Now I got both the weight stack to 10 pounds. 10 pounds. Now let's measure it. It should be 40 because 10 times 4 is 40. Zero it out. Let's pull it. Now we have 36.6 pounds, so pretty close. Let's go ahead and put that at 15. Zero it out. So at 15, it should be 60. All right, we're at 60.5. So that's pretty much 1-to-1, guys. So for the sake of keeping this video short, I'm not going to go into full detail on how to do the 1-to-1 conversion. I just wanted to show you guys a demo of it, but I will be dropping another video where I do the full tutorial on the step-by-step on how to do this modification on your rack. And I will also be testing out the max capacity of this weight stack at 620 pounds at a 1-to-1 ratio to test if the top bracket and the low bracket can handle both of these weight stack at a 1-to-1 ratio. So please subscribe to the channel if you guys want to see the full tutorial on how to do the 1-to-1 ratio. And so the second thing I don't like about this rack is that, man, these lever arms, they're always getting in the way, man. And oh yeah, those are Cranial Fitness lever arms, just so you know. I'm going to be making a review on those and I'm going to be showing you guys some hacks. So subscribe to my channel, like my video, show support. I'm going to give you guys some fire content. Okay. And so the second thing I don't like about this rack is that it doesn't have pivoting functional trolley trainer arm, aka tornado arms. Now, what are those what are those things that you're talking about? If you don't know, let me tell you. But if you already know what tornado arms are, go ahead and skip ahead. So these right here, these are the tornado arms. See, it sits on your front uprights. And you can slide them up and down. They look a little heavy though. And right here, you can see it pivot left and right. And that pivoting allows you to widen the range of motion on your chest flies and your reverse flies. And it can also bring the handles closer together so that you can do rows and lat pull down on the front of your rack. And right here, you can see it pivot up and down. And what that allows you to do is you can have a higher starting point for your lat pull down in order to get a wider range of motion on the top of your movement. So there's a lot of implementation that you can do with these tornado arms that you can't do with the existing functional trainer trolley system on the Rep Aries 2.0. Here are some of the implementations.
So here's the RX3 Tornado 6-post rack at 94 inch. This is pretty close to the Rep Aries 2.0 and it's selling for $3,800. So a little bit cheaper than the Rep Aries 2.0. But the only thing is it doesn't have a standalone lat pull down and low row in the back. It only has the cables in the front, whereas the Rep Aries has 6 cables, 2 up top here, 2 down here, and 2 in the front. There's only 2 other racks that has pivoting functional trainer trolley arms, and one of them is Maxim SX2. This rack is going for $4,200. They have one that is similar to the Rep Aries that's out of stock. The X2 functional trainer, you can see it right here. See? And this rack comes with a lifetime warranty. And this is the only company that I was able to find that has a lifetime warranty on all of the components on their rack. And the third rack that has pivoting functional trainer trolley arms are the Force USA C10 all-in-one trainer. And this is going for $4,500, but you can see it right here, right there. That's the pivoting functional trainer trolley arm on that system.
So if you don't know why we need tornado arms on this rack yet, let me explain a little bit further. The distance between this cable and this cable is only 49 inches. But the thing is, my wingspan is 63 inches. And so I don't get that full stretch when I'm doing flies, right? It's more like a forward moving motion. It's not really like I'm pulling something together. And so when I want a full stretch in my chest, I do one-handed flies instead of doing 2 hands. And I use my my lever arm as a stabilizer. And then I just do them like this. And so it feels more like I'm pulling the weight together with my chest instead of like pushing it together, if that makes any sense. And now we had tornado arms, we wouldn't have to do that. And so those tornado arms, those adjustable functional trolley trainer arms, they really make this Rep Aries functional trainer trolley just a little bit outdated. Just making this rack just a little bit outdated. And that's crazy because this rack just came out less than 6 months ago. I mean, I just got it maybe like 3 months now. And already it's outdated. But Habanero, you said this was the greatest rack of all time. Why did you lie to us? Well, I didn't lie, goddammit. Let me tell you, I reached out to GetRx to see if I can get one of those tornado arms to put it on here. And they got back to me and they said at the moment, they're not selling the tornado arms as a standalone, but they might come out with a standalone in the future. So that's something to look out for and wait for. But you know what? I don't like to wait. Do you like to wait? If you don't like to wait, I'm going to show you guys how to get pivoting functional trolley trainer arm on this rack. They're not as good as tornado arms, but you know what? They're damn near close. Check me out.
Now, if you head over to eliteprofitca.com, you'll see this attachment called the M2 M3 Adjustable Functional Trainer Trolley. They sell it for $425. Now, this is going to work on the Rep Aries 2.0 because you can see the cables, it runs downward just like how it does on the Rep Aries 2.0. Now, the tornado arms, the length of it is 16 inches. This one's a little bit shorter. The length of this is only 9 inches. And so when you have this on your rack and you spread them out horizontally to the widest position, you're going to get an extra 18 inches of wingspan, giving you a total of 67-inch width for your chest flies. Just for comparison's sake, look at the Arcadia Max functional trainer. The width between the two functional cables is 75 inches. So at 67-inch width on the Rep Aries 2.0, you're almost at the same width as the Arcadia Max. So that is something. That is a big upgrade for your Rep Aries 2.0. So if you want this on your rack, not only do you have to pay $425 for the attachment, but you also need to get custom cables because the cables that's on your Rep Aries 2.0 is going to be 9 inches too short. And so you got to take that into consideration because the cables, because they're so long, it's probably going to be like around $200 just for the cables. So we're looking at almost a $600 cost for this upgrade. But with the versatility that it adds to the rack, I think it might be worth it. I will be putting this on my rack and also upgrading my cables, and I will be posting it on my channels. So please subscribe if you want to see me do that.
And so the third thing I don't like about this rack is this 2.5 pound adder weight. Now, I love it. I love that it's integrated into this waist stack. But the thing is, when I go put it up, because I'm a little short, I got short problems, short kings. What's up? Shout out. It's hard for me to bring it all the way up. Well, I can do it, I'm not that short. But the thing is, if I have a bar loaded up right here, I can't reach that. You know what I'm saying? I can't get up there. And so I got to go under and around and do that. That's just a pain. I don't like to do that. No, yeah. Have you guys ever seen a barbell like this before? This is a 2-inch thick cambered barbell. Now, if you guys can find out who makes this barbell and you can guess it in the comment section, I got something special for you. I'm gonna give you guys a little prize. I don't know what it is yet, but I will give you guys a prize if you guys can guess the name of this barbell. I've looked everywhere. I can't find this barbell. This is a 1-of-1. It's a vintage. And so because I'm a little short, putting this up and down is a little pain. Sometimes they don't go in, right? And so the way I like to load 2.5 pound increment onto this stack is I'll grab a 5 pound plate, right? And because this thing is a 2-to-1 ratio, this 5 pound really only weighs 2.5 pounds. And so when I put it on here, now I got 2.5 pounds. But when I go and pull the cable, when you go and pull it, when you come down, it kind of bangs on that, see? I wish they would have made this pin a little bit longer so it doesn't catch on. And so it's basically clipping it right here and right here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a angle grinder and I'm just going to cut off this part right here and cut off this part. And then we can load the weight up and not have to worry about it banging on this. Let me show you guys how to do that. Remember guys, angle grinders are extremely dangerous. Safety first. Hot, so hot. Wow. All right, now that I cut off the edges, I can put this in now. And no more banging. And so the fourth thing I don't like about this rack is that the lat pull down doesn't extend out far enough. Right now, it's only about 7 inches from the back upright. And so if I use regular J cups on here, it's not an issue. The bar does not get in my way at all. But because I have bad shoulders, I use monolift to help me bench. If you don't have monolifts, you need to get some. They are seriously one of the most underrated attachments for your rack. They act as a personal gym partner to give you a break every time you bench, so you never have to lift it up and bring it out. It doesn't put any strain on your shoulders or rotator cuffs. And so because I like to use monoliths, when I use the lat pull down, it gets in the way. So I kind of have to get back a little bit and do them like this to avoid hitting the monoliths. And what happens is when you do that, you kind of change the movement of the lat pull down. I mean, it's fine to do them like this, but sometimes I like to get right down underneath the cable and have a more horizontal pull. So it just changes the workout just a little bit. Or I could just take the monolift off completely, but that's just another hassle that I usually don't like to do. So if you want to make the lat pull down come out a little bit more, it's quite easy. The first thing I thought of doing was just taking this cross member and removing it from back here and bringing it out here so that we can bring these pulleys out some more. But the thing is, so right now this cable is running straight from this pulley to this pulley. It's at the same height. And so we bring this cross member out here to these lower cross member, it's going to make these cables a little lower. And what's going to happen is it's going to cause this cable to run crooked. And it's going to put a lot of strain and friction right here on this pulley over here. And that's going to degrade your cable, causing your cables to wear down a lot faster. So I don't recommend putting this cross member onto these cross member. What I recommend doing if you want to bring this lat pull down out some more is just buying a whole nother set of cross member for $99 from Rep and then just putting pulleys onto that cross member. If we can get another bracket like this from Rep, we could just put that bracket on another cross member down here and still have these pulleys right here and just have another set of pulleys here. And so the thing is, because these pulleys are running downward, you could put the new set of pulleys lower in the front of here and not worry about the cables wearing down. Now, if you decide to do that modification of extending the lat pull down out, you're going to need to also get new sets of cable because these cables will be just a tad bit too short. And so not only do you need to spend $100 on the cross member, you got to spend more money on the cables and you got to spend more money on the pulleys to hold the cables. And so that's something to consider if you want to do the modification. And I will be doing the modification and I will be posting on my channel. So subscribe to my channel if you want to see that. And so the fifth thing I don't like about this rack is that the low roll pulley could be a little bit higher. I know they raised it up from the 1.0. In the 1.0, they had it down here like real awkward. And I wish they would have just raised it up a little bit more. See, the thing is, you can always sit on a pad to make your body higher, thus making the cable lower. But you cannot make your body lower in order to make the cable higher. So for the 3.0, if rep can raise the low roll up higher, it would be a big plus. An absolute game changer would be if rep put another upright in the middle here so that the low row cables are on a trolley and that trolley can move up and down on that upright. Now that will definitely be Rep Aries 3.0 worthy. But as of right now, there's no way to make these low row higher unless you do some serious fabrication and welding. And so the only thing you can do to get as low as possible is just to sit on the floor. The seventh thing I don't like about this rack is that the connectors on all of the cables are not the same. So the low row has this connection so that it's easy for you to put in your banana clip and not have to use a carabiner in order to keep this banana clip shorter, in order to give you a little bit more range of motion, especially on your pull down. When you have a short rack, people who have short rack know the pain that it is when their lat pull down pulleys are a little too low and they don't get that full stretch at the very top of the movement. Also, this connector doubles as a carabiner. So if you don't have a carabiner on your attachment, you can just use this connector as a carabiner. So for the lat and low roll pulley, it has the special connector. But for the two front functional trainer cables, it has the regular eyelet cable connector. So I really wish Rep would have just included the special connector on all of their cables. Now, if you want those special connector on the front cable, you can do that. What you would need to do in order to get those special connector on this cable is that you need to order another set of cable from Rep and take out the special connectors on those cable and then send those special connectors with this existing cable to a special custom guy so that he can swap it out. It is possible. When I was looking at getting custom cables for my Rep Aries, there was a company that was offering cables with a connector of your choice. So if you want those special connectors up here, you can do that, but you're gonna have to spend a little bit of money. And I'm not sure if I want to do that. The seventh thing I don't like about this rack is that I wish they would have made the low row foot plate extend out a little bit more. So right now, this is the full extension of the low row foot plate. When I go down the bench, my bench is too far up. I had to slide it out just a little bit to get into position. And so if they would have just made that foot plate a little bit longer, it would be much easier for me to lock in and dial in and have more stability support for my bench. I know this is not the Rep bench, so it might be a little bit short. The Rep bench might be a little bit longer, but still, if they would have just made that foot plate out a little bit more, it would be very beneficial. Because the foot plate only extends out this far, I can't really get a super stretch on my low rows. This is about as far as I can get forward. So people who really like to round their shoulders forward and then do their lat pull down to get that full stretch and contraction, this foot plate might be a limitation. But what you can do to go around that to get more range of motion on your low row cables is you can add a couple 4x4 blocks here to give you a little bit more extension. And so the eighth thing I don't like about this rack is that it only comes with one banana clip. So if you're going from a single cable lat pull down to a single cable low row, you have to take this thing completely off one and put it on the other. And that's kind of a big hassle, and it kind of gets in the way of the flow of things when you're working out. I wish they would have just gave us two of these. At the moment, these are not posted on their website for sale, but I called Rep and asked them to see if I can get another one, and they were kind enough to sell me another one for, I believe it was $27 or $37. So now I have one for up top and one for the bottom, and I don't have to worry about switching them out. And Rep did tell me they will be posting this on their website pretty soon, and so you can get you a second banana clip in no time. But if you don't want to spend that $27 or $37 on a new banana clip, you can use one of these carabiner to connect both of the cables together. But the thing is, if you connect them together with a carabiner and you pull it, the cables doesn't run completely straight. And now what that does is when you have this on heavy load it's going to put a lot more stress on your cable and wearing it down a lot faster. And so I really don't recommend using a carabiner to connect the bottom two low rows. Just do yourself a favor and just buy another banana clip so that you can preserve the life of your cables. The ninth thing I hate about this rack is that this low row pulley is completely exposed. And so when you're standing near here, you can easily step on this cable. And what that will do is that can easily damage this cable because the plastic on this cable is very thin. And also, if you're putting something on the floor that's laying next to your rack, it can easily lay on this. And when you go and pull the cable, it's literally going to drag this cable across the floor, which not only will damage the cord even more, but also it will put dirt onto your cord. And then when the dirt get onto this cord, it's going to drag into this pulley, causing dirt to get into this pulley. And it's just going to make your pulleys a lot less smooth. I wish Rep would have just eased my anxiety by just giving us a shroud that covered this super long exposed cord. They have a shroud over here, which I don't really like because I can never really inspect to see if the cords are fully on these cable pulleys down here or not. And so I just always have to have faith that everything is working properly over there. So instead of just putting a shroud over here, they definitely should have put a shroud over here as well. It's pretty easy. You're not going to take up too many holes. You just need a bracket here and a bracket from this hole down. So it's not even going to take up that many space. You will still be able to utilize all of these holes in the center. So Rep, please, for the 3.0, give us shrouds. And now for the 10th and final thing I don't like about this rack is these weight horns. Now these weight horns are $325 add-ons. And it comes with 12 of them. And the thing is, for $325, I wish they would have made all the weight horns the same length. For me, I'm pretty weak. So, I gotta do like 10-pound increments. And, I like to do like 10 sets of benching. I don't do too much. And so for every set, I like to add 5-pound plate on. So I like to have, 10-pound plates on here because, more plates equals more dates. So if I got 20 10-pound plates on my bar, oh, you do the math. Anyways, the thing is, it would have just taken up the same amount of footprint regardless if it was longer or shorter. So there's really no drawback in making them longer. And for $325, Rep, you have no excuse. So I do like the fact that these weight horns have like a plastic liner on the outside. And so when you're sliding your weight on and off, it's very quiet and very smooth and very soft. Now, if you guys don't want to spend $325 on weight horn, I have a way for you to get the same amount of weight horns that are the same length, or maybe just a tad bit shorter, but all of them will be the same length. Titan Fitness has weight horns for their T3 X3 rack that's only $70 for a 4-pack. If you get 3 of those, you'll get 12, which is the same thing as this. And that would only run you $210. So you save a little bit over $100. And all of your weight horns are going to be the same length, which is about 12.5 inches. So not only are the weight horns from Titan Fitness cheaper, but you get longer weight horns. The only thing is it doesn't have the plastic liner. It's just straight metal. And also that attachment used 5/8 pins. But the thing is the 5/8 pin pattern on that attachment will work on this Rep Fitness attachment. And the bolt will go in perfectly fine. This is a 5/8 screw that I have for my other rack. And it fits in this hole. Not too bad. It's not going to go in at all. And so if you want to save $110 and have all long weight horns, skip the Rep Aries weight horns and just purchase your weight horn from Titan Fitness. So there you go, guys. That's 10 things about this rack that I hate. Now, Rep, if you're watching, this was a free blueprint for the Rep Aries 3.0. Now give me my money. All right. Now that we got all that negativity out of the air, now let's focus on the bright side of things. Let me tell you 10 things that I do love about this rack. Okay, so the first thing I do love about this rack is that the lap pull down and the low row have unilateral movement. So each cable can move independently on their own. And at first I didn't think I would care too much for that feature, but after using it for a while, I really love that unilateral feature. When I do lap pull downs like this, I really feel like it's much more natural. I can really recruit my lower lats. You can really get a lot more range of motion. And at the end of the movement, it feels like you're spreading the cables apart. It's just a feeling that you don't get when you use a bar versus separate handle. Now you could try to use a setup like this to have that full range of motion, but it ain't gonna feel the same as if you had unilateral feature because you're not gonna get that feeling at the end where you can spread them out. With this setup, they still move together. In my eyes, this feature alone is enough to make the Rep Aries 2.0 outshine the Rogue FM6. Now, I know a lot of people was complaining that when you want to connect these two cables together, you have to use a banana clip. But for me, it's really not that big of a deal. I'd rather have the feature of unilateral movement versus not having unilateral movement. I wouldn't want rep to take this away. So I would rather just Fadango with the banana clip than not have this at all. So please rep, if you're listening, don't take the unilateral movement away. Stay complicated, stay feature rich. So the second thing that I love about this rack is that the cables for the functional trainer trolley runs downward. Now you might think that's not really a big deal, but I assure you, it's a very big deal. If anything, it's probably one of the biggest reasons why I bought the Rep Aries 2.0 over all the other racks on the market. Now, aside from the C10 by Force USA, all the other all-in-one rack system has the cable running upwards from the top down. Now, what that does is when you're done using your functional trainer trolley, on this rack, you can store it down here. But on all the other racks where the cable runs upward, the cable is going to get in the way if you store your trolleys all the way in the bottom. It's going to get in the way in the sense that if you're going to use your front uprights as a whole nother rack to bench or whatever, that cable is going to get in the way. And so on all of those other racks, you have to store your trolleys all the way up top. Now, as you can see, because the cable runs down, you see how there's a cable in front here now? So with the Rep Aries 2.0, you can't store your trolley all the way up. But who really wants to do that? When I'm done, I want to store it on the bottom. If I was to force to store the trolleys up top, if I'm taller, it's going to take up all of this valuable space up here, and it's going to prevent me from being able to set up my J-hooks properly and utilize this whole up top of this upright. If you wanted to use a lever arm system like what I use, you have to put your lever arm system underneath your trolley. And that's just not really ideal. You don't really want your lever arm stored on the bottom because it's just going to get in the way. You want your trolley stored on the bottom. Having your trolleys underneath your lever arm allow you to integrate your lever arm into your trolleys. Let me show you what I mean by that. If I take this strap, I can add it onto this cable. And now when I have my lever arm connected to this cable, when I push it now, I'm actually utilizing the weight of the waist stack. Now that allows me to have a consistent weight resistant on my lever arm system. And it just allows me to do presses with my lever arm system and not have to even load any weight on here. If the cables ran from up top down, it would get in the way of things. It would get in the way of your lever arm being on top. You wouldn't be able to do this kind of setup. And so having the cable run down, it's a very big deal. And it's something that you should think about when buying your rack, especially if you're trying to use lever arms on your rack. And lever arms to me is very versatile, and it could really mimic a lot of those machines that you find in commercial gyms without having to have a whole bunch of different machines. So I knew I was going to incorporate lever arms onto my rack. And so that's why this was such a big deal for me. The third thing I love about this rack is that each one of these functional trainer trolley are independent. And so what that means is I can do a completely separate exercise on this side with its own waist stack, and I can do a whole different exercise on this with its own waist stack. And what that allows me to do is it allows me to superset a lot of things together. Like if I wanted to do tricep extensions and then I want to do curls at the same time, I can do that. Now there are some racks out there where the functional trainer trolleys are connected to one waist stack. Now the drawback of that is you have to change the weight each time you're switching from one cable to another if you want to do different exercises. And if you're working out with a gym partner, one person can use this, one person can use this, and it's completely independent. It allows you to work out with your partner and not have to worry about switching the weight back and forth. It just makes everything more streamlined. It makes the flow just so much better. So I would not recommend getting a rack where it's a single weight stack and you have to switch the weights over and over and over again. And if you're thinking about getting a plate loaded system, don't do it. Get a weight stack. Weight stack is just so much better, so much more convenient. It will cut your setup time down to like half. If you have a plate loaded system, if you're going from lat pull down to lateral raises, you're going to have to move a lot of weight because we can do a lot on a lat pull down. We can go 150, 200, no problem. But when you're doing lateral raises for your shoulders, you're doing like 10, 20 pounds. So going from a lot of weight to a little weight it's going to take up a lot of time in your workout. And if you get the plate loaded stack, I assure you, you're probably going to end up upgrading and having to buy a whole new system. So why not just buy right the very first time? The fourth thing I love about this rack is that the cables, it's so smooth. It feels like a commercial quality gym equipment. When I go to the commercial gym, their functional trainer is not even as smooth as this. Maybe it's just because theirs has a lot more wear and tear and this is brand new. But I assure you, these cables are ultra smooth. It feels very professional. Some people who had issues where their cables wasn't smooth, it's probably because their rods were dirty. You have to clean your rods, your guide rods, which is these, and add lubrication to it for it to run ultra smooth. I actually lubricated my guide rods. I also lubricated all of the pulleys. I even add lubrication to the cable itself just to reduce any friction as much as possible. Now, the fifth thing I love about this rack is that I went with the 41-inch depth. Now, if you're thinking about which depth to get, if you have a space for it, I would say go with the biggest depth. Go with the 41-inch. That allows you to just have so much space in here. So when you're working out, when you're doing squats, anything you're doing, it just doesn't feel crunched up. I can set up in here and do squats in here and also do bench on the outside of my rack and not have to worry about interfering with my other exercises. Having this depth allows me to be able to get in and out of my rack easily, just like this. See, I don't have to go around or go underneath a bar. I could just come in and come out very easily. Also, if you guys are wondering between getting safety straps or spotter arms, I recommend getting spotter arms because that allows you to free up anything on your front uprights. If you go with safety straps, when you put the safety straps on, it's going to take up real estate on your front uprights, preventing you from being able to put certain attachment on the front upright. Say if you want to do squat in here, you want to bench on the outside, you're not going to be able to put those J-cups or your safeties on the front in certain positions because the safety strap is now taking up both the back upright and the front upright. The sixth thing I love about this rack is that all of the holes have laser engraving. Even the cross member has laser engraving on this rack. Also, this rack is 3x3, but it's not 3x3 inches. It's really 70 millimeter by 70 millimeters. So it's a little bit smaller than a true 3x3 inch rack. Now, you might think that that is a con, but really that is a pro because you can use any 3x3 rack attachment on this rack. Whereas if you went with a true 3x3, 3-inch by 3-inch rack like a Bells of Steel or Rogue, you wouldn't be able to put, for instance, rep attachment onto those racks unless you shave down the inside and make it just a little bit bigger. And so with this, it's just going to give you much more versatility. And if you're wondering if you should get the 1-inch hole spacing or the 5/8, I recommend going with 1-inch because it's just going to make setting up a lot easier. There's less holes to worry about. Each hole has its own number, and you're going to have a much more variety of rack attachment that you can incorporate into your rack. Whereas if you have 5/8, you're going to be a little bit limited. One of the drawbacks of having a 1-inch hole is that you have 2-inch hole spacing. So with the 5/8 hole, down here, all of the holes are a little bit closer together. It has 1-inch spacing. What the 1-inch spacing on the 5/8 holes allows you to do is it allows you to really dial in your safeties. So when you fail on your lift, especially bench pressing, you can really dial in that where you fail at. For instance, if you put your safeties up too high and you go all the way down, it's going to hit the safeties before you can get the full stretch. And if you put your safeties too low, when you fail, it's not going to catch onto the safety, making them useless. But I found a way to work around that. For my safeties, I got the Oak Club spotter arms. Now, what this allows you to do is it allows you to get 1-inch spacing for your spotter arms. For instance, you can set up your safeties like this. But if you just need it 1 inch lower or higher, you can flip it upside down. And now this design allows you to get that 1-inch spacing like you would get on a 5/8 upright. These spotter arms are like $400, so it's really expensive. But for what it does, it's very good. I will be making a review of this and talking more about this. So you guys can subscribe to my channel if you want to find out more information on these spotter arms. Now, the seventh thing I love about this rack is that you can configure the color of your rack in a lot of different ways. You can have the cross member a certain color. You can have the uprights a certain color. You can have your back uprights a certain color. Being able to configure the color in any way you want have different colors for different part, and it allows you to really personalize your rack to your personality. And for me, I've always liked the white, red, and black colorway, and that's what I went with. But for people who are very meticulous and want to keep their equipment looking really fresh and really clean at all time, I would not recommend getting white uprights. Maybe go with clear grind or something like that. The eighth thing I love about this rack is that I love that they implement the 2.5 pound outer weights into the waist stack. I know earlier I said I don't really like putting this up and down, but I do like the fact that they incorporated this into the rack. Even though I like to add my 2.5 pound increment like this, I still like the fact that I have this 2.5 pound outer weight integrated, and I would not want them to take this out. The ninth thing I love about this rack is that they made these waist stacks sit flush on the back uprights. So that gives you much more space versus the Rep Aries 1.0. On the 1.0, you couldn't really set up for incline bench press on these back posts because the waist stacks get in the way of your bench. But now that they put the weights further back, you can do incline bench, you can do decline bench, you can do whatever you want in here. It gives you so much more space. Now, the 10th and final reason I love this rack is that I have two 310 pound waist stack here, combining together to give me 620 pounds. And with the modification that I did to this, it allows me to be able to lift this at a 1-to-1 ratio. I might have to get my welder to reinforce some of the components on here so that it can handle the full 620 pound waist stack. And I know I might not ever be able to do a 620 pound lat pull down, but just knowing that I have all of this weight that I can grow to gives me more motivation to work out. Being able to unlock the full 620 pound waist stack is a game changer at the end of the day. It's just not heard of. There's no other racks that's able to do this. I will be doing further testing to see if the low roll cables and the lat pull down can handle this full 620 pound waist stacks. And I will be putting that on another video where I show you guys how to build the 1-to-1 conversion. So there you have it, guys. 10 reasons why I love this rack and 10 reasons why I hate this rack and all of the things that you can do to improve this rack. If you guys have any questions about this rack, just go ahead and drop it in the comment section. I will answer every single question that you guys have on this rack. Now, if you guys like my content, please subscribe to my channel, and I will be releasing a lot more content pretty soon.